This is Chaos Theory
and Cosmic Chisme,
where we put the chaos into theory and spill the tea about the connections between us, nature, and everything in between.
So join us in unraveling the cosmic secrets and coincidences we just couldn't ignore. Cosmic Chismosos, it's Ashley
and Kayleen.
Today we are going to be talking about the Sherpas and the Himalayas, continuing our discussion of cultures of higher elevations.
So don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And don't forget to check out our Instagram. It's at Chaos Theory Cosmic Chisme. We post art, we post updates about the episodes, and it's also a great place for you to connect with us, talk to us, chat in the comments section, and just let us know, who you are. We love our listeners.
Send us a DM.
Absolutely.
We'll reply.
We do.
Oh, and you can also send us an email. At chaostheorycosmicchisme@gmail.com.
That's right.
Shoot us an email.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you.
We will.
Don't be shy.
We love our chismosos.
Yes. So, I guess we can start this off with what's been going on.
In recent news or recent events.
I haven't really been following up. I'm not good with following up with the news that much. Mm-hmm. But the last I heard was for Walk for Peace.
Yeah, Walk for Peace 2026.
And I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, they were in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, they made their way up to D.C. already.
So what happened there?
So when they reach D.C., they stop and they give a little speech and they talk about what their teachings are about. And
kudos to them. Yeah. That's a lot of walking, all the way from Texas, all the way to DC.
Yeah.
And they had a dog with them.
Oh, that's cute. I didn't catch that. Okay, so I'm just a little bit of, just to kind of clarify what we're talking about. The Walk for Peace is where a group of 19 Theravada Buddhist monks complete a 108-day, 2,300-mile walk for peace from Texas to Washington, D.C. So they arrived on February 10th, which is a little over a week ago.
Okay.
And the 108-day, there's a significance about 108. I don't know if you'd go into that.
No.
Okay, there's a spiritual significance of 108 being a number that means something in Buddhism. So that 108-day is very important. And I also saw that one of the Buddhists actually got hit by a car and he had to get his leg amputated. So, but they continued on. He was in a wheelchair and literally continued on, and they finished within that 108-day window.
Is this on purpose? Was this person being
I don't
nice?
know much about it.
Oh,
Probably
gosh.
just bad drivers. Could
sure
you
hope
imagine being that person?
Yes.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Not good for them, though.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in this weather, too, with that big winter storm coming through.
Yeah. We had crazy weather. We've talked about this. I think we talked about this a little bit before, but we had a huge ice and snowstorm come through at the end of January. So we're only a few weeks out from that. Mm-hmm. So 108 days. I mean, that's no joke of a length of time. So we're not even just talking about winter. That's just the final leg. They went through fall.
When did they start again?
Oh, they started in October of 2025. So when they arrived in DC, basically they came together and spoke to the public about what they wanted to promote and like what they were hoping to achieve for this walk of peace, aside from just like peace. And they gave us a little bit of advice. The biggest piece of advice that I saw them talk about was just doing more things without our phone. He was saying, when you wake up, don't get your phone. Like when you go to the bathroom, don't bring your phone. Like just start your day off not looking at your phone. And he said it's also important to replace some of those habits with grab a pen and paper and write your thoughts, write your goals for the day. Like just write, because the connection of the mind to your hand and pen to paper is stronger and really significant to basically like fulfilling those thoughts, like putting those thoughts into action, than it is to grab your phone and to like just type up a to-do list in your notes or whatever. So there's like a lot more interaction with our mind and our bodies and action, like that connection.
I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have like my grocery list, I like to write it down more than I do on the phone, because the phone can be more distracting than like I can think of my list easier and faster if I just write it on paper.
I agree.
Then I forget about the paper at home. Like I end up being like, well, I don't have my list.
That happens to me all the time.
Look, we got the first step.
We do. I'm like notorious. I think you and I share this, like where we love having notebooks. Like we love having a bunch of different notebooks and pens and things like that. And I don't ever fill a notebook, but I'll start a bunch of different notebooks. But I have so many different things. Like, okay, so when I went to Costa Rica, for example, just like on the note of the power of writing and that, you know, pen to paper, you know, mind to hand. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wanted to document as much as I could about my trip by writing it. And it feels more personal, and it also like is just a reminder that like not everything that we experience and think and has to be something that goes into the phone, because we know that the phone is not just our personal device. This is a device that is connected to the rest of the world, and it's true. Not everything is for the rest of the world, you know. Yeah. But I'm sure we're going to get into so much of this stuff, and I'm so excited because
we are.
I'm like riding the line of like crazy conspiracy, like, you know, to also like this Buddhist like peaceful lifestyle.
Yeah. And we go into it, which is exciting. And there's some fun stuff that we like mention throughout that I think people relate to without realizing it.
We forgot to mention we're drinking our hot beverages. We've lost sight of doing this, but I think we should bring it back, right?
Yes, we have to embrace the fact that I have coffee right now because I'm in the mood for coffee.
Yes.
Kayleen?
I've had to tone it down a little bit. I'm drinking a lemon balm tea, and each of my teas have like a little saying on them. So I'm going to share that with you all as well, so we can take a little bit of moment to be mindful. Okay, so my little tea bag says, "Earth laughs and flowers," by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And you know what?
That.
It's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
And
it's
hopefully
like your daily co-star, but daily, like on paper too,
right?
Not on your phone.
And I think I'm excited to read that because hopefully the earth will burst into laughter in flower form in the next like month, because I'm sick of this winter.
I'm over it. Oh, and we have to celebrate the fact that March 8th is the end.
Thank God.
Wait, is it when daylight saving time starts or ends? I don't know, but it's when this early darkness is done.
Good. We'll spring ahead. We'll put the clocks forward an hour.
Yep.
Awesome.
So we're going to the Himalayas this time.
Let's go.
Last episode, we were in the Andes. We're in South America.
That's right. Or last episode, we talked about how the Andes adapted, how their physiology changed to adapt to their climate. But from what you're telling me, the Himalayans, they adapt a different way.
So there's Tibetans and Sherpas, and they're different, but very similar too. They have the same background, differences in daily life, but they have the same religion and culture. So the Sherpas, they migrated from eastern Tibet to Nepal, which is right below the Himalayan mountains.
Okay.
Within the last 100 years. And then the Sherpa which is a Tibetan word meaning east people. They're like really good at climbing mountains. They guide expeditions. Like that's what they do for tourists. If you are crazy enough to go climb the Himalayas or the Himalayan mountains. But they mainly settle in villages and they live in cold, snowy, mountainous climates.
And now, just for the listeners who may not know, the Himalayas are a mountain range in East Asia, so below China and above India.
Yes. So the Sherpas migrated from eastern Tibet to Nepal, below the Himalayas. Sherpa is a Tibetan word for east people.
Oh, okay.
They're really good at climbing mountains, and they guide the expeditions for tourists and anybody who wants to go climb the Himalayas. So they're used to the cold, snowy, and mountainous climates. And then the Tibetans, so they came from the Tibetan Plateau, which is southwestern China and north of the Himalayas. So Sherpas are right below the Himalayas. Tibetans, they are north. And Tibet is known as the roof of the world. And instead of settling in villages, Tibetans are nomadic or semi-nomadic, so they move around. They don't settle. And they're more like cold, dry, and windy climates. So it's like a little different. It's the same thing, but different. But both of them practice Tibetan Buddhism. So they respect nature. Mountains are sacred. To them, mountains aren't something to conquer. It's to appreciate and respect, which I will also get into later on. But today I'm just going to focus on the Sherpas specifically because we're going to cover like closer to what their lifestyle is. For like thousands of years, they lived in an elevation of over 14,000 feet. So that's their home, that's where they live. So those are elevations where us lowlanders, we can't live in something like that. We're lowlanders.
Right. Damn, that's a new insult. Lowlanders.
Oh, those lowlanders.
I wonder what we would have to do for the elevation change. Like, if we would for sure get elevation sickness up there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty weak. But so I'm just going to outline real quick how they live first. So just like in the Andes, alpacas, llamas, and the vicuña.
Yeah.
So yaks are the important animal to Sherpas.
Okay.
And they use them for transportation, food, clothing, and even fuel. They use their dry dung for fire.
I think it's really slept on how much poop has been utilized from these animals. Like the alpacas and the llamas, like they use their poop for fertilizer, and now this is fuel. Like
there's no waste.
Right?
Like their poop is just, save that for the fire.
Right. Hey, pick that up.
Like, I wonder if, like, dog poop works the same, like...
Yeah, are we not getting the most out of our animals at
wasteful.
home? We are very wasteful.
We're wasteful.
What could we be using? Drop in the comments. What could we be using our dog poop and our cat poop for?
I'm gonna try with the cat poop.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cats...
Dry it out and burn it.
See what happens.
Yeah.
There's no electricity. I got cat poop right up here.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping ahead, but like I'm wondering, like, do they just like put it in like a little bag? They just like keep this poop on them, or
they actually have storage. They store it in a special place.
Wow. Okay, so you do talk about this.
I do.
Okay, good onto it.
And they take really good care of their yaks, like as family, and they make sure that they don't go below 12,000 feet because they'll get sick.
Oh, so they have the reverse problem. Like, they don't get elevations.
Yes.
They get what are we called? Lowlanders?
They get lowlander sickness. Yeah, for some reason, which is interesting, too, because... And I go into this as well, but, like, maybe animals develop differently, or, I don't know, but, like, I guess they just can't get used to, sea level elevation. Like, they just have to...
It's kind of like how I was saying in the last episode about how, like, we can't bring a cow up on the mountain, because they'll probably, like, get sick.
That's right. Yeah.
And something I was like, they'll probably explode.
Yeah, yaks, they'll get sick, and then they just don't do well. Their bodies aren't accustomed to it.
I'd be interested in, like, the anatomy of, like, these animals that are high elevation animals. Like, do they have also bigger lungs, or do they also have, like... Do they have, like, a different respiratory system or, like, blood? Like, do they also have, like, higher hemoglobin? I don't know.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and then in their houses, so the yaks and other livestock, because they also have sheep, they they live on the ground floor. So if you go in a Sherpa house, they're just there.
Really?
Yeah, they keep them in the house. And then on that first floor, too, that's where they also keep the yak dung. And they store that, and they just keep it for fire. And then they also have potatoes. We've mentioned potatoes so many times in this podcast. It's so funny.
And I feel like we're converting because we're rice people, but we're like, potatoes are so slept on. Not for the rest of the world. We're just slow to catching up that potatoes are actually like really good.
Yes. And so these animals would warm the house too, keep the house warm, and then so, like, they would be on the first floor, and then there would be, like, a ladder going up to the second floor, which is where the humans would live.
Aww.
So it's just, like, they're part of the family. They're important.
I would kind of love to, like, wake up in the morning and just go downstairs to a room full of sheep.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so another thing, so Kayleen, you'll appreciate this. So many Sherpa homes don't have clocks.
Oh, I love it.
Yep, so they rely on sunrise, sunset, all that stuff, But they have a calendar of the moon phases.
Oh.
That's how they keep up with, like, Buddhist holidays and traditions and festivals and stuff.
That's awesome.
But they don't have clocks.
That's awesome.
You don't need clocks.
You can't be late. There's no clocks.
Yeah, yeah. And then a Sherpa village doesn't have roads. They have steep paths, so they're always climbing. Like, there's no other way of transportation except yaks and walking.
Do they ride the yaks? How does this work? Do yaks, like, do they ride in carriages or something, or do they just...
No, there's no carriages. There's no, like, it's just, like, the yaks. You could either ride on the yak, or they use the yak to carry, like, transport goods and stuff, so on the back of yaks.
Okay, this makes a little bit more sense because I started watching started watching this a few months ago, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, and he has a flying yak.
That's right.
Now that's starting to make more sense to me. But that I can't imagine what that would be like to see a monk riding a yak. Just like, I mean, that's a boss move. That's a good animal to be riding on.
And back to the potatoes, though. So their farming consists of barley, potatoes, and vegetables. And, like, radishes, corn, wheat, like, stuff that does well in cold weather. So Sherpas, they eat meat, but how they do it is they don't slaughter their yaks because that's their family member.
Yeah.
So they might eat it if it, like, dies because they don't want no waste. So they might eat it if it dies from, like, a non-disease cause.
Okay.
Gotcha. But they'll also go back to, like, a lower elevation village and buy meat from a butcher. So they can still eat the meat, but they just don't do the slaughtering. Okay. So it's kind of like us. You go to the store, you buy your meat, you're like, you did the slaughtering, not me.
Yep.
So that's kind of like their workaround. But then there's some Sherpas who are like, I just don't eat meat. It's not like Buddhism is strictly vegetarian.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of up to you because you need that protein. And, Kayleen, with your tea... They love tea.
Yeah?
They love tea. And they call it sucha, which is a butter tea, and it's made of yak butter, black tea, and salt.
Whoa.
And they use it for hydration and energy.
Interesting.
Yep.
That sounds a little bit like, because, like, there was a trend for a while where I think it's like a Latin thing to put butter in your coffee.
Yeah.
And so there was like a trend, I think around like 2020 or something like that was like, hey, try putting butter in your coffee. It's like really good it's like, not even that it's like really good for you, but it's like really tasty and like adds an extra like element to your coffee. Maybe like helps with like this blood sugar spikes or whatever. But this sounds like a fusion between like, that and like just like the tea version, I guess.
Man, I kind of want to try what that tastes like because it's apparently high in calories, I guess, because butter.
Right.
And it's very salty.
I don't know how I feel about like a salty tea.
I know.
Because right now my lemon balm is pretty just like earthy, like herby, I guess.
Yeah.
And I would normally just like put honey in it, but I can't imagine like putting like I don't know, like having a salty butter tea. If anybody's listening that's had it or wants to try it, let us know how it is.
Yeah, because it's just a very interesting combination of ingredients,
Yeah.
you know.
But I'm guessing they need that extra calories and to like be constantly moving in a colder climate, so their bodies are like losing a lot of body heat and energy, you know? So that makes sense. Like add a little extra to your tea or coffee.
So I'll talk a little bit about how all this started with mountaineering with Sherpas, like how they got into all that. I mean, other than the fact that they live in the mountains. But in the early 1920s, that's when mountaineering started to become like a popular and professional occupation for Sherpas. But only for like foreigners who had like limited access, like scientists and stuff, you know, people who were able to get in there. So it wasn't like booming or anything yet. But it didn't become like a huge thing until the 1950s, because for like 100 years Nepal was super isolated. They didn't want to become part of like the outside world, so nobody could really travel there. Then in 1951, that controlling dynasty of Nepal was overthrown. So that
By who?
I looked him up, and he just looked like an angry man.
I love how the research starts. It's like, oh, I don't like him, so we're not going to talk about it.
He was, yeah, so finally they were overthrown, and so that opened up the borders. So it caused all these foreigners to come in, and then tourism was booming. So the Sherpas are like, okay, let's do this. Let's use this, you know? So 2 years after Nepal opened its borders, a New Zealand mountaineer named Sir Edmund Hillary and a Sherpa named Tenzing became the first climbers to reach the summit of Mount Everest.
Wow.
Which made it even more popular, you know, for people to be like, I want to do that too.
Right.
So that popularized expeditions to the Himalayas. And the reason I mention this guy, because him and a Sherpa were the first two guys to reach the summit of Mount Everest. And he loved the Sherpas. So Sherpas, like, they apparently are upbeat and calm, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Hillary even stated that he loved them for their hardiness, cheerfulness, and freedom from our civilized curse of self-pity.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I'm like, I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just something about being happier in a what might seem a poor condition to us.
Mm-hmm. This is like a reoccurring theme in our podcast. Like we've talked about so many different types of people who like their happiness and the joy and the energy that comes from these people are very little attached to infrastructure and wealth and physical material things. It's very much so like a lifestyle and like the reoccurring ability to like conquer something. And so what I'm hearing with these, like the Sherpas, is like, I mean, they have everything they need, first of all. Secondly, like they have animal companions, which is like we all, I mean, not we all, but most people love an animal companion of some sort.
Yeah.
And they like are regularly like proving what their bodies can do and like what their minds can do. And like, how could anybody come in and like tell you that you should be less happy or proud of yourself or like energetic, you know, when you're like, yeah, I like go up those mountains all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and he loved that about them, and he loved being around them. And so after Hillary's expedition, he asked the Sherpas, he wanted to give back, and he was like, what do you want the most? And they were like, schools.
aw,
Yeah. And then he opened up 26 schools for them.
wow.
He started this whole thing, this whole organization that provided them with 26 schools, 2 hospitals, several clinics. Like, he gave them credit for getting him to the top of the mountain. So he provided some Western medicine and health services at like a small cost. Oh yeah, and then also he provided them an airport so that they could get these goods in and out.
Damn.
You know, yeah. So it's like, I don't know how he was just like, okay.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a lot to invest in. He must have really loved these Sherpas.
And that's what he spent his whole life doing.
Aw.
I know. And he also made sure to integrate their beliefs. He never became a Buddhist or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
He actually became a secular humanist.
What does that mean?
So it's like you're a good person, like you
Mm-hmm.
want to build a better world, but you're not going to be like God or
Okay.
anything. That's what he was. But So he's still respectful. He's like, I respect Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
So they have clinics where like you can walk in there and be like, I need my flu vaccine. And then you could purchase like an amulet or something to ward off evil spirits. So like it's like because they also believe in like exorcisms and stuff like that too, and like
Oh, wow.
yeah, the herbs like
I'm so curious about how they do exorcisms. A Buddhist exorcism is crazy.
yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, so then what are they possessed with? Just evil spirit?
Yeah, like evil spirits. I guess they still believe in evil spirits.
Okay.
So, you know, thanks to Hillary, they got better schools, hospitals, an airport just to repay back their help and I guess
Aw.
their hospitality.
But the fact that he put so much value like onto like climbing the mountains and like achieving this goal for himself, like turned into like a lifetime of returning the favor. It's so interesting. Like I love that.
Yeah.
I would like love to like talk to this guy too. and see
I
what-
know. I think he died maybe early 2000s. He was 88 years old.
Wow.
And he was like, I fulfilled everything I wanted.
Aw.
Sherpas are good. You know, they're...
That's a pretty long life too.
I know-
88.
yeah, 88. He's Sir Edmund Hillary because he got crowned by the Queen, like Queen Elizabeth.
Wow.
But, which is cool, but he was very humble about that, you know? So, and he pretty much used his fame and all that stuff to just take care of the Sherpas. So it's actually interesting that when we started talking about this, I ran into a movie, Vertical Limit. So my mom, she like plays random movies all the
Yeah,
time,
sounds
and I'll go
familiar.
in and out. Yeah, it stars Bill Paxton.
Okay.
It was released in 2000, so it's kind of a little bit old. And so it's about a team of climbers who take on the mountain K2, which is the second highest mountain in the world.
Okay. Where's that at?
That one is located between Pakistan and China.
Oh.
And they have Sherpas there too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in a neighboring range next to the Himalayas. So there's this character, Montgomery Wick, and this is at the beginning of the movie.
Did you watch the whole movie?
No,
Oh, okay.
because I never finish movies. But, I mean, it was a good movie, and I have the tendency to, Kayleen, if I don't finish a movie, I just look up Wikipedia, and I'm like, I finished it.
Yeah, yeah. Funny.
So this character, Montgomery Wick, who's played by Scott Glenn, he was in Silence of the Lambs, I think. I don't really know him.
Okay.
But he was a super, like, skilled climber, and he knows a lot about K2, so the first shot of his character, he's in this tent, alone by himself. He's separated from the rest of the base camp. He's in his own little tent, and then there's like a little Buddhist temple in front of him. Yeah, so he kind of, I guess he assimilated because he's been there for a while, and also he was kind of sour because his wife died during like a climb, which is revealed at the beginning of the movie. But he's like pissed off because he's like, my wife died from apparently pulmonary edema, which I'll also explain. But because she forgot her supply of dexamethasone, which I will also explain here in a minute,
Okay.
which his character thinks is bullcrap. His wife was a Sherpa.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's like, my Sherpa wife
Right.
fucked up?
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
Right.
like,
You're
it's
this
just...
is like her whole culture is about climbing. You think she forgot her meds for a second?
He's
No.
like, that's not right. So dexamethasone, which they call Dex for short,
Okay.
is a steroid used by high altitude climbers to prevent acute motion sickness and high altitude cerebral edema. So those two things, acute mountain sickness, it happens above 8,000 feet, and this is for us lowlanders.
Right.
Which it's like, it's described as a hangover, so like headache, nausea, lightheadedness. And then high altitude cerebral edema is the really bad one, which they like to explain this as like not a hangover, but you're drunk. Your brain starts to swell, so it causes the blood vessels in your brain to leak fluid, so it's like, it's not
Ew.
good.
That's
Like,
horrible.
yeah, but it has similar symptoms to acute mountain sickness, but it's like 10 times worse.
Okay. This kind of reminds me a little bit of like the opposite end where for deep sea divers, if they come up too fast and they also get like a variation of like some sort of like psychosis or like drunkenness, they are very disoriented. I don't know. Maybe we'll sometime talk about some deep sea things because that's crazy to me.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. That's gonna be fun, and
that will be fun.
That's messing with my phobia too.
Yeah, like
deep water freaks me out.
Thalassophobia.
Thalassophobia.
Yeah.
Yep, I even follow it on Reddit.
Yeah. I think it's funny that we're like, "Ooh, that freaks me out. I want to look at more." I'm the same way, and I watched this creator on YouTube. His name is Greg Bro Dude Man, I believe, and he'll do videos of like thalassophobia and like megalophobia because megalophobia.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it's like you can't look away. You're just like, oh,
yeah, I don't know. I want to be in that feeling.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So in this movie, there's this quote that says, "At 24,000 feet, you are not dying. You are already dead."
What the heck?
Which refers to the death zone.
Oh.
And so it wasn't just like a quote from the movie. It was like an actual, like,
right. That's
just
like
so
a
you know.
Quote from real climbers.
Yeah.
So at 24,000 feet, like, what is like a good way to like think about how high that is? Like, how tall is Mount Everest?
29,000.
Oh my gosh. So that like last 5,000 is like you're dead. You're dead man walking.
So they call that the death zone, and it's just a reminder for climbers that this environment is killing you. So that's where you reach that death zone. Whatever error you make, that's it. One mistake, that's where it gets really bad.
Oh my God. I saw this clip of this person hiking up Mount Everest. Someone dropped their glove, like their mitten. And so it was from the perspective of somebody that was like further down the line. And this mitten is just like going down the mountain. And I'm like, how do you can't climb the rest of the way without a mitten?
Yeah.
Like your hand is going to freeze off.
Yes.
Like that's, yeah.
And I think that's what they're saying. Like, they're like, look, you mess up, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you have what you have. And just one wrong move, one wrong step. And right at 24,000 feet is when the air is thinner, and so the concentration of oxygen is lower, so your body is using up more oxygen than it can replenish. And even if you do make it to the top, you gotta go back down.
Right.
You know, it's not like, oh, you know, you're not up there being like, the hills are alive.
And then you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and slide down the rest of it.
Right.
There's the escalator down.
And I mean, that would be me too, that like, oh, I'm at the top. I'm out of the death zone. Like,
right.
No, you're still in there.
Like, now
and
you're
you gotta
like,
go back down.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure descending is also like, it's like the same amount of like stress of just making sure that you don't mess up, because 5,000 feet worth of the death zone is so much. I mean, that's just the highest peak I go to. As a lowlander.
Yeah, it's a lowlander. And apparently, Hillary and Norgay, they only spent 15 minutes at the summit of Mount Everest because they're like, I'm in the death zone. So they only spent 15 minutes to take pictures and to just like look, and then they're like, okay, let's go back down.
He's like, oh, well, that was nice. But what else are you supposed to do? Like, have lunch up there?
Yeah, you can sit out a picnic. Like,
the wind is going like 100 miles an hour.
And I was wondering too, because when I was watching this movie, I'm like, okay, so they have their dexamethasone. Mm-hmm. You know, they have supplies and stuff.
Just like, you're crushing that pronunciation, by the way.
Oh, I had to ask Google.
Oh, really?
Dexamethasone. So Hillary and Norgay, they were able to get through the death zone because they had open circuit bottled oxygen systems, which, you know, I don't know. I saw a picture of it, but they wear masks connected to these cylinders. It's like 4 cylinders, and the thing is like 30 pounds, and they have to climb with that thing.
That's crazy.
And they just have to be careful. And I mean, they're navigating icy cliffs. So this is when we go into biology a little bit.
Yeah, let's go.
So our breathing, okay, when you breathe, it's mostly controlled by carbon dioxide and oxygen.
Yeah.
So when carbon dioxide rises and or oxygen is low, you breathe more.
Right.
And then so our body has sensors that can detect these changes and tell you to breathe harder. So there's central chemoreceptors, which is located in the brainstem, which is like the thermostat inside your body. So it's like controlling, like the amount of oxygen, carbon dioxide. And then the peripheral chemoreceptors, which is located in the aortic arch and carotid arteries, which is like in your neck and your heart. So it's near your heart, and that's where the chaos is. Like, it's like a smoke detector, and it's like low oxygen,
Wow.
And so Sherpas, unlike us lowlanders, Sherpas have this breathing control system. So they train themselves so that like the peripheral chemoreceptors don't overreact. Like, they train their bodies somehow that these things in our bodies just don't like flip out.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it. It makes sense with a lot of like just breathing techniques that like I've used just to like overcome anxiety.
Yeah.
And this is interesting for many reasons, because autonomic dysfunction, which is like when your body like is sending all the signals, that it's like that all that autonomic parts, like your heartbeat and your intestinal walls and all stuff like that, when they're all like, we need to be re-centered, like we need to be like restarted, like a hard restart, because it's like they're all firing off and they're like sending those signals and whatnot. So I don't know, it's just interesting like how our bodies communicate through like these like little motions and these signals and everything. And you can overcome a lot. Like, I think that that's what like a lot of this practice is like a lot of like mind over matter.
Yes.
And you can even really like, I don't know how much you get into this, but like I believe this, and it's been proven that you can control, like there's some people who can actually control like different organs, like if they really focus, like that they can like say, okay, I'm really connecting with my like my intestines right now, or my heart, or my lungs, or my so I don't know, this is cool. But yeah, like breathing techniques just for anxiety alone is a lot. Like, you can really overcome things, but that's how you control, like when we were talking about Alex Honnold, he's able to control all of his anxiety from like going up in the mountains and free solo climbing and all that stuff.
Yeah, see, I think maybe that's why like we literally just mentioned our phobias, wanting to be exposed to our phobias.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this is my chance to take control a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to mess around with it and see if I can.
Right.
Because I don't want to ever be stuck in deep water and I'm panicking.
Right.
That's
the thing that kills you first, is like if you panic. So your body's firing up all these signals like, you're not having oxygen, yada yada yada, and they're like hitting ignore. Like every pop-up, ignore.
That's what the Sherpas are doing.
Remind me later.
They're like, ignore it. Just ignore it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time to take a break.
Right. Nope, not yet. You've been scrolling for a while.
So their system reacts slower than a lowlander's. And then they do that by breathing slower, deeper, and just more effectively. And just like we discussed in the caves episode, like Coach Ack.
Oh, right.
Yeah, who was, again, a former Buddhist monk. He taught that soccer team deep breathing techniques to conserve oxygen.
Well, they say, too, that we only use, like, a small percentage of our full lung capacity to breathe. And, as, like, somebody who sings and also, like, practices, the mind-body connection just for, like, health and wellness and everything, I have to be very controlled with my breathing just to, like, sing and holding notes or doing riffs or doing stuff like that. And I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty confident that I feel like I can even feel like when I'm taking that deep breath in and like my diaphragm is pulling my lungs open, I can like feel even like the little bits of like the bronchioles and everything like that, like filling in with air, because like that's what it is. Like you have these like little branches in your lungs that also have these little balls, and those balls like fill up. I say balls, but like that's just like spheres, and then those fill up with oxygen. It's like, if you really think about it, it's like I feel like you could make sure that you're taking in more oxygen than like just like being passive, I guess, with your breathing. I don't know. Maybe we'll have another episode where we like dive a little more into all that. We kind of talked about it in the Philippines episode, just about like how the Philippines are just like fantastic singers. Like the entire island are just all singers.
Yeah, karaoke.
Yeah.
When most people climb, a hormone in our bodies, and I think you went into this, Kayleen. But a hormone in our bodies called erythropoietin.
Oh, I don't think I went into all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Causes us to produce more red blood cells, which will carry more oxygen to our muscles.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Okay, this is ringing a bell. Like I said, like I mentioned, so you're going in so much more depth, which I'm loving, by the way, because in the last episode, I just said, hemoglobin carries more oxygen. Well, let's talk about Pachamama. Anyway,
there's just so much to talk about.
There is.
But these extra cells, when they do that, when they produce more red blood cells, it thickens our blood, which puts extra stress on our heart. So it requires it to pump more, and that can cause symptoms of altitude sickness.
Gotcha.
So it's like trying to work, but it's also having a negative effect.
Yeah.
And our body is like alerting us, like, okay, now we're overworking. Like, this isn't good.
Right.
You know? So for Sherpas, they increase their red blood cell count too, but not nearly as much as lowlanders do.
Oh.
And they have unique genes that they actually call the super athlete gene.
I love that.
That will prevent overproduction of red blood cells, so their blood doesn't thicken.
Interesting.
Doesn't over thicken, rather.
Yeah.
So they have this super athlete gene, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That developed throughout years of them living in high elevation.
I don't know why, but immediately made me feel like a little nervous calling them like super athletes, because they are, but it's like when you use the word like athlete, I immediately start thinking about like money, sponsors, like, you know, like putting them in games, compete, like, you know, whatever. And they're just very well equipped, adapted humans.
It could be better than super athlete gene. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they are super athletes,
They
but
are.
I think like it just immediately like dollar signs start popping in my head as like a
I can get that. Yeah.
US citizen.
You know, I thought of Hercules. That's who I thought of. So it also regulates the body's production of hemoglobin, which was also mentioned in our last episode. And if you remember biology class, it's the protein inside red blood cells that transports oxygen from your lungs to your body's tissues and organs, and then also carrying CO2 back to the lungs for you to exhale. And so this super athlete gene uses the hemoglobin more efficiently.
Oh, that's cool.
So their hemoglobin's more powerful. It's just better than ours, you know?
So the Quechua people in the Andes have just more hemoglobin naturally. And the Sherpas are just utilizing their hemoglobin more efficiently.
Yes.
That's cool. I like that.
And then also their mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, if you all remember from biology. Is also more efficient. So it provides more energy using the same amount of oxygen than lowlanders do.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Right.
Like, they're just better.
Yeah. But they like... You know, but they adapted because, like, they found joy and purpose and fulfillment in that lifestyle. So, like, they were like, well, you know, just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Over time, their body adjusts and adapts to this, you know?
Yeah.
That's so cool and interesting.
Yeah. And then I also thought, well, what if Sherpas come down to our level? Do they struggle? Nope.
No?
Nope. They're like,
I
breathe
knew it all.
air.
Wow.
Because, I mean, they're just good. Like, they're...
I wonder if they ever get, like, naturally, like, high off of all the oxygen down the air, you know?
That's what I was thinking, too.
Nobody they can walk for peace. They're like, I'm chilling. There's so much oxygen down here.
And I just imagine them taking, like, tourists and climbers up, and they're just, like,
right.
So, lowlanders.
Do Sherpas need those oxygen tank thingies that are 30 pounds?
I think at that point, because Sherpa, Tenzing, the guy that was with him, he's still... I think there is a level where they're like, okay,
right,
I'm gonna
where
need
it's like
something.
humans,
yeah, where at that point, then the environment is just not good for anybody.
Okay.
But I wonder how high they can go, though. How high can Sherpas go without supplemental oxygen? Apparently it says that they can reach the top of Mount Everest.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, okay, so in 1999, this is crazy. So, a Sherpa famously stayed on the summit of Everest for 21 hours without oxygen in 1999.
Whoa.
But they do use supplemental oxygen to reduce extreme physical strain. So, I don't know. Kayleen, I don't know.
I feel like they, like, kind of don't need it, but they're like, well, just do it just to be safe. Like, just to make sure.
Which is smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Right. Climb responsibly.
Yep.
But
they make every oxygen molecule count. They're not wasteful at all.
That's awesome.
Yes. Which I do like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love it because this also shows, like, we are capable of so much. Like, the human body is capable of overcoming a lot. We're able to control our bodies, you know, more than we know. Like, we're able to adapt. And I feel like we don't teach that in schools. Like, we don't really have that in Western culture that much. Like, we're very reliant on outsourcing, you know, our own regulation and our own strength and abilities and stuff, like using steroids and all kinds of things, like vitamins and medicine and anti-anxiety. And it's like, well, maybe you could just, like, take some time to be more mindful and think about how to control these feelings that you're having and the way your thoughts are and all that stuff. But
we can be lazy and impatient too.
Yeah.
That we just want the quick option.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And apparently, like, these high altitude populations, different high altitude populations evolve different breathing strategies. So South America, we discussed, they have their way, and then Himalayan highlanders, they adapt another way. And then I went through this study a little bit that I was going to include in this episode. I also linked it in the sources, just if you listeners wanted to look through it. But they did this test with, like, a certain amount of Himalayans and then another one with lowlanders, sea level people. They used, like, a certain breathing technique, and they, could see how much carbon dioxide and oxygen and all this stuff. And they saw, like, the differences. But that study was like, however, we need to do some studies with the Andean and Ethiopian highlanders because there's just so much that could affect the study, like environment, culture, genetics. So they don't want to just base those breathing techniques on just Himalayas.
I guess you can compare it to, like, in the ocean, there's so many different types of animals that are all breathing underwater. And it's like you have gills and you also have blowholes and you have all these different ways, but, like, they all have adapted to living under the water, you know?
Yes.
Well, we're going to get into another one in the next episode, but we'll talk about that a little more later.
So I do want to do this little honorable mention because during my research and all this, there's this lady named Lakpa Sherpa, and Sherpas, interestingly enough, they use Sherpa as their last name.
Oh.
Yeah. So
they all have a last name?
Yeah, they all have, yeah.
And it's like the name of, like, the style of, like, blankets and coats and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Sherpa's just it. Like,
yeah,
we
Sherpa
are
is the thing. Yup. And so she's known as the Mountain Queen or Queen of Everest. So she holds the world record for most summits to Mount Everest made by a female. So 10 times she's been up there.
I wonder if there's a King of Everest. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, either way. So what about this girl?
So she's from Nepal, and she was born in a cave. And she grew up in a village in Nepal. And when she was a teen, she's like 15, she was a porter for, like, supplies to a base camp. And she, like, puts it on her back, and, like, people are, like, looking at her because they're like, that's a boy's job. And she's like, I don't care. She's like, no, I can do this. So she lived her whole life wanting to show people that, like, girls can do things.
Aww.
She wanted to challenge the boys, and she expressed to her family, she's like, I don't want to be home making babies. I want to go out there and make my own money and do my own thing.
Good for her.
Yeah. And she loved climbing. She loved exploring. She loved going out. And she even lived in the USA, but since she had no, formal education, she worked as a dishwasher at Whole Foods.
Wow.
She's in her 50s now. I think she's, like, 53.
Wow.
She does have an Instagram. At mountain_queen_10.
Nice.
So she spends her days now leading expeditions and like
Wow.
yeah, helping climbers and
We'll have to link her in the show
yes,
description.
yep. So she's very inspirational. I really liked learning about her.
Sorry, I wanted to go back to the fact that she worked as a dishwasher at Whole Foods, and we kind of talked about this together, but it was just funny thinking about her being like, I'm gonna go wash dishes in Whole Foods, but then I'm also gonna just tackle the hardest mountain, the tallest mountain in the world.
I agree.
And it's just funny because it's like, it just goes to show like your job does not define you.
It doesn't.
And it's just this way you make money. And other than that, like you go off and live your best life, live the fullest life you can live. It doesn't matter what you do for money to some extent, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I skimmed through all her stuff, but that's pretty much what she stands for. She's
Aw.
like, I don't, you
Yeah.
know, like I don't need a degree. You know, it's just, she's
That's
awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we talked about Sherpas, the movie Vertical Limit, breathing, and then I talked a little bit, mentioned Buddhism here and there. So I watched The Simpsons a lot when I was a kid. That was like our family show. There's an episode where Lisa Simpson converts to Buddhism to find God. So this is season 13. It's called She of Little Faith, and it aired around Christmas time in 2001. And so basically the episode starts with Bart and Homer. They accidentally launched a rocket into the Church of Springfield. And so it made the church ask Mr. Burns for financial help. Who, Mr. Burns, is this greedy old man. He recreates the church, but for, like, profit.
Yeah, never heard of that.
Yep.
No one does that.
So this is when Lisa's like, she's like, that's not right. So this leads her to seek a new faith, and she even has a prayer to God where she's like, I'm not abandoning you. Like, I still believe in you, but there's a different way to you, you know, and this isn't it.
Wow.
And I have to agree. That's what. Okay, so I'm just gonna make this clear. I'm a Christian. I am, and you know, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. You know, but I got my own little mix of different religions. Kind of. I mean, a religion's such an ugly word too. But I mean, like, I look at Buddhism and I'm like, I kind of get it. And so, she even says she's not abandoning him or her. So she's like insinuating that it could be a girl too.
Yeah.
And I remember in the episode, Marge was like, and of course the episode, all the people are like judging her, you know. Anyway, Richard Gere makes a guest appearance, who I just learned is a Tibetan Buddhist in real life.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So he makes a guest appearance in the episode, and he actually shows up as himself. And in the episode, Marge, Lisa's mom, she's worried about her change of faith, and so she tries to push Christmas on her and force it on her, and so Lisa notices, and she gets upset, and so she runs away to the Buddhist temple, and she finds Richard Gere there. And she's like, she tells him that, you know, I'm frustrated, like, I don't like that. So Richard Gere says,
anyway, your family didn't have to trick you. Buddhists respect the diversity of other religions, as long as they're based on love and compassion.
So he's telling her that even if you convert to Buddhism, you are free to celebrate Christmas with your family. And that's kind of like what I was saying with like the meat thing.
Yeah.
You can choose to be a vegetarian. You have your choices.
Right.
And if there's one thing that I embrace is my freedom to choose. You know, so Lisa goes home and she's like, I'll still celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm just different.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think also, like, you know, I think it's pretty common, I think, for young people to explore like different religions, and you know, Buddhism is a pretty popular one for young people to explore, especially women, young women. And I had my time and my bout of exploring it myself, and I think ultimately, like, for me, it was just a way to reframe God, because a lot of teachings when it comes to Christianity, and especially in just speaking from my experience, was a lot of like either talking about condemnation and punishment, or talking about how you're not good enough. And it just felt like it was always an emotional roller coaster of just sort of like surrender, worship, punishment, you know, repent, this and that. And I'm like, well, where's the middle? Like, where do I find peace. And how do I be okay in all of this? So I'd say I feel very kindred to how Lisa describes it, where it's like, you know, there was so much noise in the Christian community that I was exposed to, that I just wanted like the silence and the peace of finding like, well, how else can I connect with God without engaging in all the politics of, you know, the community of Christianity at times. And yeah, I think Buddhism opens the door to just connecting with your heart. And I think it's like a literal and it's a spiritual thing, because obviously, like we talked about how Buddhists or like the Sherpas and stuff can control their anxieties and stuff. And it's like, if you can quiet down your body's response to what feels like danger, which can be triggered by so many different things. For them, it was high altitude, like real life physical danger. And for some of us, danger feels like social situations or being around people that just like trigger you or whatever it is. And being able to calm yourself in those moments, to hear them out, and to also dive deeper into whatever religion like calls to you. I think Buddhism is a walk. It's a path to opening yourself up for that. So, you know, it's like not that serious, but it's like also so serious, and it's the foundation of how we can like love and connect to one another, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, there's even things like Quechua, you know, they're really attached to nature and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like the Sherpas, they see Mount Everest as something to appreciate, not conquer, and not try to change. And they even believe that supernatural beings live there. And they avoid killing living creatures, and collecting firewood too is a no-no.
Really?
Yeah, so I guess that's why they use the yak dung. Like, tourists tend to screw it up by doing that kind of stuff. It's violating a spiritual law to them. And it's also a rule in the Himalayas for foreign climbers to have at least one Sherpa per 2 climbers.
Well, it's really dark how much Mount Everest has become such a tourist thing, and such a it's like such a thing that like so many people like feel the need to do for whatever reason. It's like a personal goal and whatever. But there's so many bodies on that mountain like that didn't make it. There's so much human waste. There's so much trash now on that mountain.
Oh my gosh, that makes me I get so upset with that stuff.
Because you're like, oh, you're on there for what? Like, you went up this mountain for what at this point? Like, we know that people can do it, and there's actually a whole team, like there's a whole culture of people who regularly do this. Like, why do you need to prove something at this point? But there was a girl I saw on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and she had gotten to like the first or second base camp on Mount Everest, and she looked like she was half frozen to death already. She was like very petite. Like, I mean, I don't have doubts that she could physically, I guess, do it, but the amount of wear and tear on her body, her eyes were bloodshot, her skin was already like cracked and dry, she was shaking like horribly, she could barely talk because her throat was so dry. And we're like, people in the comments were like, girl, just go home. You don't have to do this.
Yeah,
you know?
like, turn around. It won't take a lot for me to turn around and go.
Right.
Like, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable.
Right. Life is hard enough. Like, do like those challenges throughout your life. Like, it just seems so weird. It's like over the top to like feel like I have to be another person that climbs this one mountain.
Okay, so let's see. Zodiac sign for Sir Edmund Hillary. What do you think he is?
Okay, so he's a humanist. He's very charitable, but either a Capricorn or like a Virgo. What's his birthday?
July 20th. He's a Cancer.
Well, that's cool.
For tenacity, emotional depth, and nurturing.
Aww, that's nice.
Yeah. His rising sign is a Libra.
So funny you say that, because I was going to say that the Sherpas are Libras, I think. Because they care.
I think so too.
Yeah. Oh, yay. Because I love that it knows it's his rising sign. I think Libra is like the overarching zodiac sign of this whole episode. I think there's a lot of mindfulness, which I think is very Libra, humanitarian. I think even just the fact that it's an air sign, and even though we're in the mountains, this is talking a lot about how we control our breathing, and just being very conscientious of like what we do with our breath, whether it's to just give our body the oxygen that it needs, or even just how we talk to each other, how we like just having mindfulness in every step of the way and wanting peace and for everybody to get along, and like, and Buddhism in itself just being open and flexible to other faiths and other practices. It's like very much like not wanting to step on toes, and I think that is all like very Libra-esque. And I think it's only natural, and I have a theory that air signs tend to gravitate towards these type of spiritual faiths, you know?
Yeah, I'm also curious. Lakpa Sherpa.
Oh, yeah?
What her sign is. That's
Ooh.
also who I really want to know.
Okay, I'm gonna predict. I think she's either an Aquarius.
So she does not have an exact recorded birth date.
Oh, I guess you wouldn't have like a birth,
That's true.
a birth certificate.
I guess you're
in the
right.
cave.
Yeah.
The bats have her medical records. Really glazed over that, but she was born in a cave. Her being born in a cave, we really glossed over that.
Yeah.
But that's great. I'm just going to go with Aquarius, because Aquarians, like, they are always going against the grain. They don't really care what other people think. They just do whatever they want. But also just, you know, she's, I'm just going to stick with this air sign theme. So Aquarius.
Okay.
If y'all have any other ideas of what these zodiac signs could be, or what you thought, or just your thoughts on the episode and everything, please hit us up. Go to our Chaos Theory Cosmic Cheese Made page on Instagram. Like, subscribe, follow, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all the things. But until then, keep bouncing.